You walk into a room full of people and somehow you still feel alone. You laugh with them, you sit with them, you even talk to them. But deep inside, it feels like no one really sees you. And maybe this didn't start today. Maybe you felt this since you were a child. You were the one who stayed quiet, the one who felt things more deeply than everyone else, the one who couldn't explain why your heart felt heavy, even when everything looked normal. And at some point, you started asking yourself, why am I like this? Why does everything affect me so much? Why don't I feel like I belong anywhere? Listen carefully, because this is where it changes. What if nothing is wrong with you? What if that feeling of being different, that loneliness, that pain you never understood, was never a problem to fix, but a sign to understand? Because some people are not meant to live on the surface. Some people are created to feel deeper, to think deeper, to search for meaning when others are distracted. And if that's you, then your story was never meant to look like everyone else's. Today, you're going to start seeing your life differently. Not as a series of random struggles, but as something that was quietly shaping you all along. You were not imagining it. Even as a child, you felt things that others didn't seem to notice. Small moments stayed with you longer. A harsh word, a change in someone's tone, a quiet tension in the room. While everyone else moved on, you carried it with you. And people noticed that about you. They said things like, "You're too sensitive. You think too much. Why do you take everything so seriously?" So slowly, you started hiding it. You stopped explaining how you felt. You stayed quiet even when something hurt. You told yourself, maybe I need to be like everyone else. But no matter how hard you tried, you couldn't. Because your heart didn't work like that. You felt deeply. You noticed things early. You understood emotions before anyone ever explained them to you. And here's what most people never realize. That wasn't a weakness. That was awareness. Think about it. While others were distracted, you were observing. While others were reacting, you were reflecting. While others ignored what mattered, you felt it. And yes, it made things harder. You probably cried more than others. You probably overthought situations that no one else even cared about. You probably felt exhausted just from feeling everything so intensely. But let me tell you something honestly. A heart that feels deeply is not a broken heart. It's a prepared heart. Because one day, that same sensitivity will help you understand people without them speaking. It will stop you from hurting others the way you were hurt. It will make you aware of things others stay blind to. And that depth you once wished to get rid of is the very thing that will guide you later in life. So don't look back at your younger self and think, I was too much. You weren't too much. You were just ahead. Ahead in feeling. Ahead in understanding. Ahead in awareness. And at that age, you didn't know what to do with it. But now, you're starting to see it differently. And then there were those moments you still can't fully explain. Nothing specific happened. No big problem. No clear reason. But your chest felt heavy. You'd sit alone, staring at nothing, trying to understand what you were even feeling. Some nights, you couldn't sleep. Not because something was wrong outside, but because something inside just wouldn't settle. And if someone asked you, what's wrong? You didn't even know what to say. Because how do you explain a feeling? You don't even understand yourself, so you stayed quiet. You learned to say, I'm fine, even when you weren't. And over time, people stopped asking. Listen carefully. This part of your life matters more than you think. Because that silent pain, that confusion, that weight you carried without words was not emptiness. It was processing. While others avoided their emotions, you were sitting with yours. While others distracted themselves, you were feeling everything fully. And yes, it was exhausting. There were days you felt drained for no reason. Days where your energy just disappeared. Days where you questioned yourself again. Why am I like this? But here's the truth most people never hear. Not all pain comes to break you. Some pain comes to deepen you, to slow you down, to make you reflect, to make you aware of your inner world. Because one day, life will require you to understand yourself before you understand anything else. And those quiet nights, those heavy moments, those feelings you couldn't explain, they were teaching you something. They were building your inner world, piece by piece. And even if no one saw it, even if no one understood it, Allah never ignored it. Your silence was seen, your confusion was known, your tears were not wasted. Your Lord has not abandoned you, even in those moments when you felt the most alone. So don't look back at those days and think, I was weak. You weren't weak. You were going through something that was shaping you from the inside in a way no one else could see. And now you're beginning to understand why. Then came the moments where you tried and it still didn't work. You gave your effort. You showed up. You did what you were supposed to do. But somehow things still fell apart. You studied hard and still didn't get the result you wanted. You trusted someone and they didn't stay. You gave your time, your energy, your sincerity, and in the end, it felt like it meant nothing. And that question started to grow inside you again. Why does this keep happening to me? You looked around and it didn't make sense. Others were doing less, but getting more. Others were careless, but things worked out for them. And you, the one who actually tried, kept facing closed doors. This is where most people break, because repeated disappointment doesn't just hurt, it confuses you. It makes you doubt yourself. It makes you question your worth. It makes you feel like maybe you're the problem. But listen carefully, because this is where your perspective needs to change. Not every closed door is a rejection. Some doors are closed because you were never meant to walk through them. Think about it. That thing you wanted so badly, if you had gotten it at that time, would you really have been ready for it? That person you were attached to, if they stayed, would they have helped you grow or distracted you from who you're becoming? And that opportunity you lost, what if it was leading you somewhere you would regret later? We don't always see it in the moment. All we feel is the loss, the disappointment, the frustration. But sometimes what feels like life going against you is actually life protecting you, because your path was never meant to be easy and straight. It was meant to shape you, to teach you patience, to teach you detachment, to teach you that not everything you want is good for you. And slowly, without you even realizing it, those failures started building something inside you, a quiet strength, The kind that doesn't show off, but holds you together when everything falls apart. So the next time you look back and think, that didn't work out for me, ask yourself something different. What if it wasn't supposed to? Because sometimes the things that don't work out are the very things that keep your life on the right path. And then there were people you trusted, people you thought would always be there. Some of them promised it. They said, I've got you. They said, I'll never leave. They made you feel safe for a while. But when life got heavy, when you actually needed them, they slowly disappeared. Not always in a dramatic way. Sometimes it was silence, late replies, short answers, distance you could feel but couldn't explain. And that hurt in a different way. Because this time, it wasn't just life, it was people. You started thinking, am I too much? Do people get tired of me? Why do I always end up alone? Listen carefully. This part of your story was not random. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay. Some people come to teach you, some come to test you, and some come to show you who you should never depend on. But when you're going through it, you don't see it like that. All you feel is the absence. You remember how available you were for them, how you showed up, how you cared. And now, when you needed the same, no one was there. That kind of loneliness hits differently because it makes you realize something uncomfortable. You can be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. But here's where things shift. That emptiness you felt was not just loss. It was space. Space being created in your life. Space where you slowly stopped depending on people for emotional stability. Space where you started learning how to sit with yourself without needing constant validation. And most importantly, space where your connection with Allah started growing, even if you didn't realize it at the time. Because when people step back, you're left with no distractions, no noise, no false comfort, just you and your thoughts. And in that quiet, something begins to change. You stop expecting too much from others. You become more careful with who you trust. You learn that not everyone deserves full access to your heart. And yes, it hurt. But that pain taught you something powerful. Not everyone you lose is a loss. Some people leaving your life is actually what protects your peace. So don't look back at those people and think, they abandoned me. Sometimes they were simply not meant to walk the path you're on. And their absence is what helped you become stronger without even realizing it. And then there was that feeling inside you. You couldn't explain it, but it was always there. A quiet pull, a hesitation, something telling you this isn't right. Even when everything looked fine on the outside, people were enjoying it. Everyone was going along with it. It seemed normal, acceptable, even exciting. But inside, you felt uncomfortable. You tried to ignore it sometimes. You told yourself, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I should just go with it. Everyone else is doing it. But that feeling didn't leave. It stayed. Patient, quiet, but firm. And slowly, you started listening to it. You stepped back from certain places. You distanced yourself from certain people. You said no, even when it felt awkward. And sometimes you didn't even know why. You just knew it didn't feel right. This is where most people get confused because they think that voice is fear or anxiety or just overthinking. But not every hesitation is weakness. Sometimes it's protection. Think about the times you avoided something and later realized it would have hurt you. Think about the decisions you didn't make and later felt relieved you didn't. That wasn't luck. That was awareness. And not everyone has that because most people follow the crowd even when it doesn't feel right inside. But you couldn't. Something in you resisted. And even if it made you feel different, even if it made you feel left out, it kept you safe. The Prophet ﷺ taught us something simple but powerful. What brings peace to your heart is right, and what disturbs it is not. And if you think about your life, you've already experienced this. That uneasy feeling before a wrong choice, that calm feeling when you step away from something harmful, that's not random. That's your heart being guided. Even when you didn't have the knowledge, even when you didn't have the answers, you still had that inner signal. So don't ignore it. That feeling inside you has protected you more times than you realize. And it will continue to guide you if you learn to listen to it. And maybe the hardest part of all this was feeling like your life was always late. Late to figure things out. Late to feel stable. Late to see results. You watched people around you moving forward. They had clarity. They had direction. Things seemed to work out for them at the right time. And you felt like you were always catching up. Like no matter how much effort you put in, you were always a few steps behind. There were moments you thought, am I wasting my time? Am I doing something wrong? Why is my life not moving like everyone else's? And slowly, that comparison started to drain you. Because it's not just about being behind, it's about feeling left behind. But listen carefully. This is important. Not everyone is on the same timeline, and not everyone is meant to arrive early. Some people are rushed into things and later regret it. Some people get what they want too soon, and it breaks them. But your life has been moving at a different pace. Not slower, just different. Because the things meant for you require a different version of you. A stronger one, a wiser one, a more grounded one. And that version takes time. Think about it. If certain things had come into your life earlier, when you were still emotionally unstable, still confused, still searching, would you have handled them properly? Or would they have added more damage? Sometimes what feels like delay is actually preparation. Preparation happening quietly. While nothing seems to be changing outside, everything is being built inside. Your patience, your understanding, your self-control, all of it growing in silence. And yes, it's frustrating because you can't see progress the same way others can. There's no visible milestone, no clear reward, just waiting and trusting. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Perhaps you dislike something and it is good for you. There are things you wanted that didn't happen. And right now, you may still not understand why. But one day, you will. One day you'll look back and realize, if things had worked out earlier, you wouldn't be who you are today. You wouldn't have the strength you have. You wouldn't have the clarity you have. So you're not late. You're being prepared at the right time. And even if it feels slow, it's still moving. Just not in a way you can measure yet. And now, when you look back at everything, it starts to make a little more sense. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough to see that your life was never random. Those moments that once confused you now feel connected. That sensitivity you hated, it made you more aware. That pain you couldn't explain